Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. So we're like already halfway through 2020 somehow. So I guess it's finally time to do the highly requested 2020 studio tour. Let's see what's changed. So a big thing that's changed this year is I've moved apartments. Again, this time to a smaller but much nicer place. Now, somehow I've managed to accumulate a ton of gear over the years, and as much as having a lot of gear is nice, it's just objectively too much for this 600 square foot apartment. It kind of stresses me out, to be honest. Clutter messes with my creativity and productivity. I find getting to work and writing the demo tracks a lot more difficult with this much stuff always around. So rather than dumping it all into a storage unit, I'm going through all of it to list some stuff up on Reverb. I need money to pay my team way more than I need a lot of gear that should get more playtime from more deserving owners. So before a lot of stuff gets cleared out, you guys have been asking to see the Hoard. So without further ado, let's get into it. I know a lot of YouTubers have like intense rack mounts, big curved monitors, desks custom built for recording setups. I'm still running with IKEA since I'm a firm believer in work with what you got. I mean, I would love a custom desk. I just can't justify the cost when IKEA works. God bless the Swedes. Wire management is a struggle though. Let's not talk about that.
Oh, sick! Gross! Ah, nasty! Yuck! Ah, sick!
Studio monitors and computer monitors are both the same from last year, and in fact, pretty much from the beginning of the channel. KRK Rocket 5s, I get a lot of shit for them in the comments, but you know what, they work and they look cool, so f you. Two Acer 1440p monitors. I really like them, at least the one that I didn't get on Craigslist that doesn't have super messed up color balance. My mouse pad sent in by a subscriber to immortalize the time my face was violently introduced to the pavement from a bird accident. I appreciate that. Honestly, coming from a generally non-creative background, like my degree is in political science, for God's sake, I don't really consider myself an expert in content creation, but I get a lot of questions, so for what it's worth, here's what I use. I record my voice with an AKG P120. It's like 99 bucks new, which isn't very much for a large diaphragm condenser mic, so I assume there are better ones, but this seems to work decently. For cameras, I use two Canon DSLRs. The first one is a T3i. Got it used on eBay in 2015 and it served me very well. It doesn't have real-time autofocus though, which was a massive pain. Like sometimes you could see some videos were filmed out of focus because I just couldn't tell from the small screen. It's actually a massive upgrade this year as I picked up a T7i from a friend who wasn't using it, which is essentially the same camera, like the same image sensor and everything, except that you can film in 60 frames a second in 1080p, and it's got real-time autofocus, which I cannot believe I was living without. So that's my main camera now, and the T3i is the B cam for second angles, and it's great because the image sensors are the same, the footage is fairly consistent between the two. And this, I cannot believe I bought this. Besides my computer, I think it's the most expensive non-guitar related purchase I've ever made. It's an Aperture 120D Mark II, and at first, it seems like massive overkill, and it kinda is. Like, it's stupid big and stupid bright. It's like I bought the sun from my apartment. But I do most of my filming at night. That's when I feel most creative, and my $25 box lighting kit from eBay just wasn't doing the job. And I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna spend money to upgrade the lighting situation, I may as well buy something that's gonna last me however long I continue to do this job. So I bought the sun, because Henning Polly told me to when it was on sale. Above the desk, Liverpool Metallica original plush Mola Mola named Agu that the channel is named after. Computer is the same 2015 Hackintosh that I put together, albeit now with even more storage. I really want to keep it going because it's been such a workhorse, but it just gets slower and slower with every Adobe update. And if you're wondering why there's an extra keyboard on top, it's because it kind of won't boot without it plugged in. Guys, Hackintoshes are pretty janky, okay? I'm still using the 2-Notes Torpedo Live. Being able to plug those massive 100-watt heads into this thing and have it act as a digital mic'd up cab and run straight into my computer is amazing. I literally could not do any content in this small city apartment without this thing. Like, I'm legitimately recording brutal metal guitar rhythms at like 3 a.m. on a school night, and my neighbors have no idea. It is so useful, one of the best gear investments I've ever made. And you can get a pretty good deal if you find one banged up on Reverb like I did. For new stuff, last year I was using an Apogee 1 as my interface. Now I'm using a much more intense looking Focusrite Claret 8 Pre. The 1 is a single input, so I'd have to switch inputs to record guitar, record my voice, and sometimes I forget to switch, record no audio and have to redo entire videos. This is kind of overkill, actually massively overkill, but it has saved me so much time and I love it. For some reason, it doesn't do guitar DI so well though, so I've got a Hosa Sidekick DI box. Massive shout out to Hosa, by the way. Their cables are super solid, but beyond that, if you enjoy any online guitar content, I can almost guarantee you Hosa is working behind the scenes to support it. They are so supportive of the community and not just the big guys. Like, they contacted me when I had maybe not even 10K subs, maybe like 5K, and they were like, hey, we really like your content and what you're doing with the reviews for the community. Let us help you make it. So I've been using them ever since and they're f***ing awesome. So yeah, the DI box goes into the Focusrite, and the other thing that I have up here is a radial reamp box. That's super useful as well. So when I'm writing, I don't have to worry too much about tone. I can just record it and then dial in my best sound from any amp later. Speaking of amps, Tone Mountain Georgia really hasn't changed at all since last year. At the bottom is a Mesa 2x12 cab. I got it used, it's beat to shit. It's super broken in and it sounds awesome. I rarely get to use it though. I used to have the bypass from the 2 notes plugged into the Rivera Rock Crusher attenuator on top, so I could monitor through the cab at low volumes. But for some reason, and I'm still not sure why, it was really messing with the recorded tones from the 2 notes, like it would choke the amp sounds, really weird. Below the Rock Crusher is my Jet City 100 HDM, basically like an import Soldano. They were one of the first legit companies that I worked with, got me into my first NAMM. I did a few videos with them and they let me keep the 100 HDM, which is a super sick amp. Effects Loop doesn't like my noise gate and there's no clean channel at all, like it may as well be a 1-channel amp. So for those reasons, I don't use it so much, but that crunchy overdrive channel is just a kick-ass rock sound. Below that, Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier. That's the amp I probably use the most. Like, let's hear what it sounds like through my dual rectifier is basically a meme at this point. I don't know, all my favorite bands growing up used Mesa rectifiers. I love how thick the sound is, always 1-in-1. It was just an iconic American metal sound. Obviously in China they were impossible to find, so when I got a good paying internship, I basically saved all that I could and completely blew all of it on this amp without ever playing through one. It was right when the Multiwatt was first released, random seller on eBay. I was the first owner, pulled off all the protective coverings and everything, brand new, but for some reason it was just way cheaper than it should have been. The more I think about it, the sketchier it is. But anyways, it arrived, I carried it like a mile in Georgia heat to get to the bus stop, to get it back to my dorm. Yeah, it's just been super reliable. I will never sell this amp. And it's also got this little Jinbei-san sticker on it, so if it ever gets stolen, and I guess nobody takes the sticker off, I'll be able to identify that it's mine. Below that, a US-made PV6505 Plus. I had a Bugera 6262 at the time, and I found this on Craigslist for like 300-ish, maybe 350, and at that price it was a no-brainer. It's dirty, it's beat up, it's still got the original ruby tubes from whenever it was made. These things are indestructible, have a dumb amount of gain, and are so stupidly loud. What a beast of an amp. And the amp on the bottom is a last generation Marshall DSL 100H. I mean, it's just one of those things, right? A Marshall and an amp stack just looks right. And I got this one on the 4th of July, 2015. I had a 6505 Plus 112 combo that I was looking to offload. There was a dude on Craigslist, he didn't want to pay cash, but he was on his way to a barbecue and was like, I've got this Marshall head and I need beer.
You got yourself a deal.
So I traded my combo and a 12-pack of Tecate, and now I've got a Marshall. This is like a really strange Marshall though, like the high gain sound is weirdly similar to the dual rec. The clean channel with the built-in reverb is really nice though. That being said, after the last move, as you guys know, I've moved a lot with this setup. I was about to leave it on the side of the road. It is so ridiculously heavy. Then over here, off Tone Mountain Boss Katana Mark II. It's portable, save and recall all your presets on the fly, super convenient. For how much it costs, the tone, how many features are built in, it's pretty ridiculous. But the most ridiculous, and I never thought that I'd be able to say this, but here is my Hughes & Kettner Triamp Mark III. This has been the dream amp. It does everything. It's like 6 amps in one. Everything from Fender cleans, Vox cleans, 5150 rectifier, and look at it. It is such overkill for most situations. It's like a Swiss Army chainsaw, but it's super tight, so like a Swiss Army precision chainsaw? I don't know. It lights up. The technology is insane. It's got 2 EL34s, 4 6L6s in the power section, and you can turn them on and off, assign those custom settings to each channel, save them as presets, recall them on the fly via MIDI. Built-in noise gate, there's a boost switch. Dude, okay, this boost switch, it's not just the same boost applied to all channels. When you hit that switch, it's a boost custom voiced to that channel, so it's like a different boost depending on what channel you're on. It's like the SpaceX Crew Dragon of tube amps, and it's making my 6505 look like the Gemini missions. It's got so many features, and I wish one of them was making me a better guitar player, but you know, it does just about everything else. It's insane, it lights up, and it just sounds so good. I've been saying it for a while. I think I even mentioned it in the last studio tour video. I don't really get gas for amps, but I really wanted this one for a while. But it was one of those one day, maybe never amps, and as of today, this one's mine. And I'm still coming to terms with that, to be honest. It's just crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna be using it a lot on this channel. So yeah, I gotta figure out where it's gonna go, but Tone Mountain is undergoing its first change in forever. God, I talked a lot about this amp. Shut the f up about this amp already. Then over here, I've got a slightly beat up Rockaverb 100 Mark III on loan from Orange right now for a couple of videos. I was like, hey, so I've never played through a Rockaverb. Do you mind if I try one out? They're like, you've been demoing Orange products and you've never played through a Rockaverb? What the f is wrong with you?
You serious?
And I think I want to keep it. Orange sounds so different, not only from what I have, but also anything else out there. Like that signature mid-range punch. It also seems relatively sensitive to what guitar you plug into it. Like some guitars sound awesome in this raw and dirty way. Others sounds really not for me in this raw and dirty way. It is a bit expensive though, and I really need to free up space to justify it. But yeah, I think it would be a really nice tool to have in the arsenal for certain demos. I'm gonna use it for a couple of videos, see how I get on with it, see how you guys like the tones, and yeah, just see what happens. And there's a boob in the logo, so that's definitely playing in its favor. Something else that I noticed is that it's unbelievably heavy. I don't know what they're feeding these British amps, but compared to the American ones, what the hell? And so usually I use the 100 watt biggest PP amps, but I've also got some more practical tube heads. Rev G20, it's basically the highly acclaimed Rev Purple channel with the built-in 2 notes live, so you can load any IR on there. Essentially a de facto combo with unlimited virtual customization. Super dope little amp from a super dope underdog amp company. Lastly, a Hughes & Kettner Grandmeister 40 Deluxe. This is another rig-in-a-box type tube amp. Doesn't have a built-in 2 notes, but it's got tons of built-in effects, 4 channels, MIDI controllable, and just like the Triamp, it lights up. I think that just about covers amps. Let's move on to the current guitar collection slash hoard. Let's start with the cases over on the side. So this is my highly modified 1972 Les Paul Custom. Got the beat up husk off of eBay, customized it kind of based on what Hetfield did to his 70s Les Pauls, like the Iron Cross is a 73 if I recall. Spurzl locking tuners, 81X, 60X, and Goto hardware. Used that for years, then Fishman sent me the Willie Adler Fluent set for me to test out, and those are like the best pickups I've ever used, and from an aesthetic standpoint, they work perfectly with this guitar, so that's what I've got in there now. Now, a lot of people point out the bridge. Yes, it's got the big import style studs, but that's because a previous owner wanted more sustain or something, routed out the area under the bridge and replaced it with a big chunk of metal. I'll try to focus in on the cut. You should be able to see it. It's not very clean. I honestly don't know if it succeeded in giving it more sustain, but the end result is that it fits import style bridges only, and it's very heavy, even compared to other Norlin era Les Pauls, which are already known for regularly being like 12 pounds and above. Like seriously, it's heavy as shit. I use a bass strap with it. Then here's my 2010 ESP Eclipse 2 USA Standard. At least I think that's what they were called at the time. I don't know, man. ESP is weird. Anyways, they changed the whole naming scheme, so this is basically a 2010 E2 Eclipse before E2 was a thing, which is cool because it's got the actual ESP logo. I love this guitar. It's probably the best player in my collection. It's just perfect. I did the 18 volt mod. I've been meaning to swap out the pickups to Fluence Moderns because they just sound better to me. But every time I open it up, it just seems disrespectful to alter anything because the wiring scheme is just art. It's so clean. I literally open it up with the intention of swapping the pickups, stop, admire the wiring for a bit, and then close it back up because I don't want to be disrespectful. I may have done that like 4 or 5 times already. It's so dumb, but yeah, that's the level of detail that went into this guitar. Yeah, it's perfect. It's just perfect. Then my Chapman ML2 Pro Modern. Everything stock apart from the Fishman Fluence Killswitch Engage set. God, I sound like such a fluid show, but I really like these pickups, okay? And as far as I know, this is the best looking ML2 in the world. I haven't seen any pictures to convince me otherwise. They've been discontinued now, but even the stock photos on the website weren't nearly as nice as this. I don't even know what you call this, to be honest. The spec was supposed to be a flame maple top, like a full cap. I don't know what this is, but the figuring is insane. Neck through construction, hip shot open gear locking tuners. This is an absolute dream to play. Super kick-ass guitar. Then an Agile AL 3200 MCC in Ocean Flame. The only thing I've done with this is I've removed the pickguard to show off more of that top because it is gorgeous. This is also a neck through single cut full thickness though, and it's about as heavy as the 72 Custom, which is ridiculous. It's a very, very heavy guitar. Loving the compound fingerboard radius though, and the ebony board is really nice too. I don't play it that much. It needs a pickup swap. I've got a JB59 hanging around, or maybe Fluence because I'm a f***ing shill. But yeah, it's a very pretty guitar. Then my Eastman SB59V. This is the best guitar that I own. Just straight up. Like, I know I've just said that the ESP is perfect, and it is, and somehow this Eastman is even more perfect. Minus the acoustic style neck joint, that's not perfect, but the rest of the guitar is. This is just straight up top elite tiered Gibson custom shop level. It is an unbelievable player, and the antique varnish is next level. It feels like a traditionally crafted classical instrument, and the relic job is so beautifully done. Even the case is super nice too. It's like all velvety on the outside. It's basically a work of art that you can play and make music on, or in my case, chug on. Yeah, hands down, best guitar that I own. Epiphone Jared James Nichols Old Glory Les Paul Custom. Two cool things about this one. One, it's got the old school Epiphone headstock, which I massively prefer to the Kalamazoo. And two, you can only get a non-antiquity dog ear Seymour Duncan P90 on this model. And actually, it's the only P90 guitar I own. But yeah, I met Jared when he toured through Atlanta last year with John 5. Super cool dude, amazing musician. 1985 Les Paul 1, weird guitar. Weird guitar. Kalamazoo headstock, shitty Steinberger trem. Previous owner put a Seymour Duncan Invader in there. Weird guitar. Kinda cool, I guess, but a weird guitar. $39 Wish.com Strat, what a piece of shit. It's partially disassembled right now because we're doing something with it, but yeah, what an absolute garbage fire of a guitar. I actually hate this thing. Moving on. Oh, yeah, these are pretty cool. These are like custom 10S GFs. I was really impressed that they managed to do nitro finishes on like $500 guitars, and like the rest of the guitar was actually really good as well. And they were like, well, do you want to do a limited color run just for your audience? It'll be cheaper than if they order a one-off custom color. And I was like, hell yeah, shell pink and Daphne blue with a lighter relic. Well, what happened is they took longer than expected to get to me, and by the time these prototypes got to me for approval, we were getting ready to launch my Harley Benton model, and we didn't want to mix anything up. So that didn't end up happening. They liked my idea though and started selling those colors anyways on Reverb. They were also experimenting with different headstock angles and stuff. So the blue one has quite a shallow angle. It looks and feels weird to me, so I'll probably sell it. But the pink one, I'm keeping because, like, come on, it's a pink single cut. Look at it, it's glorious. Bask in its glory. This one here, probably blur out, can't show this yet. This Edwards Les Paul Custom in the apparently highly sought after dark purple satin finish. Like, even more so than the Gibson or the ESP, I've gotten so many offers for this guitar. And if you've already heard the story, I apologize. Basically, this is based on another one of James Hetfield's customized 70s Les Pauls in the same color. Gibson never capitalized, Edwards did, but they didn't make very many and ended production in 2007. It was hard to get then, let alone over a decade later. But I searched for years, constantly refreshing eBay and Reverb, finally stumbled upon one on this random Spanish forum. Someone selling one. I was like, perfect. Negotiated through Google Translate since I don't speak Spanish. He didn't speak English. Paid him through PayPal. None of this is recommended, by the way. Miraculously, didn't get massively scammed. Had it sent to Thomann for TGU. On the way back, KLM immediately lost it in Amsterdam. And luckily, it randomly showed up like 2 days later. But the case still has the tags because, I don't know, it's part of its legacy, I guess. Anyways, the point is, I finally got one. The previous owner did do some mods to make it more like Het feels, reflector knobs, one of the volumes doesn't match, spurs locking tuners, and some hilariously massive fender strap locks. Like, actually, what the hell is this? But yeah, really cool guitar. Quality is somewhere between EC1000 and E2. I'd place it closer to E2. The purple satin finish is crazy. It's like, you remember that dress back in the day? And people were arguing about whether it was blue and black or the obvious actual color, white and gold. It's kind of the same thing here. I think it looks purple. Other people think it looks gray. Other people blue. There's probably some sort of BuzzFeed psychoanalysis we could do about who sees what colors and what that means about what Blackpink member you are, whatever, but we move. Acoustics, I don't really play acoustics that often, but I really like the two that I have. The first is a Martin 12-string, a D12X1AE. A buddy of mine had this when he graduated college, went back to India, and I got this off him. I like keeping it tuned to D-A-D-A-D-D, which is like a massive D power chord with a 12 string, so much D. And then the other acoustic is also a Martin. It's an SWD GT, basically a dreadnought made out of cherry. It was part of their sustainable wood series, and there's just something about it. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I don't really know anything about acoustics, but this one sounds and feels amazing. And it is loud too. Like, I'm usually one that'll research instruments and gear to death before pulling the trigger, but only once I've found the best price. This was, I think it's my only guitar impulse buy ever. Needed an acoustic for the band I was in, went to Guitar Center, tried out all the new Martins. They were good. Found this one in the U section, played one chord, and I knew I was gonna walk out with it. That's how much I liked it. And this Squire Bullet bass, man, this thing is old. I'm a level with you. I haven't played real bass on anything in well over a year. I'm not gonna sell this because it's not worth anything. And also the neck is super nice. It's like dark and well oiled, which is super weird to see on an entry-level bass from the early 2000s. That big skate sticker in hindsight might be slightly cringe. Actually, I think this is a great candidate for the high integrity treatment, and I've got some ideas. 2006 Epiphone G400 Custom, where my love for Epiphone blossomed. Tutored English for a summer, spent it all on my first real guitar. Big chunky neck, the Maestro Vibrola is basically useless, but it looks super cool. Right now it's got a custom wound Buddha Sharkbite set, which is based on Black Winners, but with aged covers in the bridge and neck, and then a Seymour Duncan Fat Cat in the middle. Dings and scratches everywhere, including this massive one on the headstock that magically appeared when a friend asked if his other guitarist could borrow it. Yeah, that's right, Sam, I'm still salty. I know you watch this channel. You owe me a beer, bro. Anyways, I use this so much. It went back and forth from the US to China on the plane so many times. Somehow, still alive. 10S GF Custom 7-string they made to my spec for NAMM 2019. Dudes, this top is nuts. I can't get over this Poplar Burl cap. It's so cool. I really like the guitar. Really don't like the pickups at all, so I'm gonna swap those out. But yeah, it's a 7-string single cut. Now I know how you lefties feel. You have to go custom if you want any other colors besides flat black and flat white. Ibanez Axion Label RGA. This is actually the NAMM reveal model too, from the 2019 show as well. I'll be honest, this is not one that I ever expected to own. It's pretty pointy for my taste. It's a pretty weird looking single cut, but I mean, crazy top, crazy specs. It's just a crazy guitar. Those bare knuckles with burnt chrome covers are something else. I was gonna send it back after the demo. Dan from Ibanez insisted I keep it, which was really cool. I have a sneaking suspicion he's trying to turn me into an Ibanez fanboy. And this is my main guitar. No joke, it gets more playing time than anything else.
What the fuck is this?
It's like, I guess it's kind of split between this and my Harley Benton model right now. This usually wins out though because it is just so reliable. Evertune and Fishman Fluence Modern in the bridge, that's like all I need. I never tune this thing. Originally getting the Squire was actually quite difficult. I ended up getting it off of Craigslist in like Queens, New York, without a gig bag or anything, obviously. So I ended up taking it on the subway, through the airport, back to Atlanta, on the MARTA back home. Just me walking around with this beat up Hello Kitty guitar. Granted, in New York City, I didn't get many looks. Atlanta though, that was a slightly different story. Schecter Banshee Mach 7, this changed my entire perspective on Schecter. To me, all these modern metal double cut guitars, they all kind of look the same after a while. I'm sure non-single cut people feel the same about Les Pauls. But yeah, every time I saw a Banshee or an RG or whatever in music stores, absolutely no interest whatsoever. Show me the single cuts. This one though, Evertune stainless steel frets and freaking Lundgren pickups. Amazing. Best 7-string that I own. Even better than this. This is not the best 7-string that I own. I wish it was. I truly wish it was, but it's not. The neck moves a stupid amount. But Evertune and a Floor Shop Custom White Black Windsor, it's probably the coolest 7 I have. I said probably, but we all know it definitely is. Early Harley Benton Amarok prototypes with custom voiced Roswells that we ended up not using. That's the 6-string and the baritone. Final production Harley Benton Amaroks eventually went with EMG retroactives, which I actually prefer to the 8160. Proud of how these colors came out too, especially proud of the green. The blue is probably my second favorite. Hal Sirena 3, you'll hear a lot more about this in my upcoming review. Chapman ML2 Modern Standard V2. It looks like all the ML2s have been discontinued, Standard and Pro. And unfortunately, I'm pretty sure we all know which company that starts with the G's. Lawyers may or may not have been involved with that.
Oh, business. Business.
Which is a shame, because the V2s were really solid, kind of like a more vintage-inspired competitor, at least in terms of visuals, to LTD's EC400 series. Fender Player Series Tele, this is dope. I'm telling you, people either love or hate Telecasters. And the people that hate Telecasters will one day wake up and be like, I could use a Telecaster in my life. It's a universal truth. It happens to everyone. It happened to me. I used to think Teles were ugly as sin, like little brontosauruses with big bulky bodies and tiny heads. But you know what? This is now one of my favorite guitars to just pick up and jam on. And high gain slide metal slide core, it's pretty fun, I'm not gonna lie. Fender Ventera Series Tele, I love the color on this one. 50 spec, so the neck is like absolutely massive. And the fingerboard is super round. It's like 7.5 inch radius. Nope, just looked it up, it's 7.25. It's actually just a baseball bat attached to a big block of wood, and then they've added strings. That's this guitar in a nutshell. Totally different to anything else I own. Definitely a vibe. Sterling Music Man John Petrucci Majesty. This is the 2020 version with stainless steel frets and DiMarzios. I swear, when I say I'm working on the demo, I mean, even though it has been like 6 months, I do mean that I'm working on the demo. Objectively, it's a good, well-built guitar. I just don't really bond with it at all. But yeah, something I can get behind though, the world needs more purple guitars. The new Harley Benton EX76, this was the first prototype off the line. It got approved, then went into production. Same story with these EX84 Moderns. These were the first prototypes basically approved straight away. Then I turned them into twin inversed Metallica tributes with bone breakers in this one, and a headset in this one. Hetfield inspired graphics. Got sent a picture on Twitter of a seal taking a massive nom out of a clueless Mola Mola. And so this is like an over dramatized cartoony version of that battle. So on this one, the Mola Mola's winning. On the other, the seal's winning. I don't know, Metallica's my favorite band. These are a lot of fun. Fender Made in Japan HM Strat. These got released at the 2020 NAMM show, and it's an obnoxiously pink guitar, so of course it made its way onto the channel. This is one that was used for a lot of promo shoots and marketing videos, so there is some slight buckle rash on the back, but yeah, Fujijin Fender, really nice. First prototype for my Harley Benton model, it's really nice, but with the Fluence Moderns, Tone Pros hardware, and Hipshot open gear locking tuners, it was just so far above the price point I was aiming for. They didn't tell me how much it would be, they just sent me the first prototype, then they sent me the price, and I was like, yeah, we might need to make some changes. We also had to sort out the neck joint because this was stupid. But yeah, the flame on this neck though, other than that, we were mostly there with this one. Stainless steel frets, glow-in-the-dark side dots and everything. Here's the final prototype that got approved for production. You can see we made the neck joint better, got rid of the back binding so we could smooth out the wood and make it more comfortable. It's got the Mola Mola on the back of the headstock, locking Grover's custom Seraphim pickup set voiced just for this guitar. Yeah, I fucking love this thing. The 25-inch scale length with stainless steel frets is just, it's everything. Plus the purple ash top, oh, it's just so nice. Really proud of how this came out. What's funny is you guys really liked them too. We really didn't expect all 350 to sell out in like 48 hours basically, so I only have 2 prototypes. I don't actually have any of my own model from the actual production run. And I love what you guys have been doing with them, by the way. Like, look at this one where the color's been removed. That's so cool. Maybe that should be a future production model. Here's another really old prototype that never came to anything. The color's cool though. This is my first ever guitar. It's a Squier Bullet Strat. I think most people's first guitar look like this. Cheap Strat, stickers everywhere. Right now, it's not exactly in what I'd consider playable condition. Here's what it's usually supposed to look like. One of the tone pots has been removed, volume moved down to get out of the way of my picking hand. I replaced the pickups with a custom wound Buddha hammerhead set, and I like the bridge so much we sent it off to Korea as the base for the Seraphim set, with a couple of tweaks. But yeah, when I get it back, I'm gonna put it back together and upgrade a few things. Like, I'm still using the stock pots, nut, and tuners, which are all pretty bad. Bad nuts are no good. I love the neck on the guitar. Same deal with the Bullet P base. It's dark, well-oiled, not light-colored and dry. Just a really, really good neck. You know, I lucked out with this guitar, especially as a beginner. You don't really know what's good and what's bad, but this neck is actually better than the one on my Player Telly, which I really like as well. But that's how good it is. Carrying on with the theme of cheap strats with good necks, here's the guitar that basically launched the channel. The original high integrity Strat that started life as a $30 guitar I picked up in China. By some miracle, the neck is actually really nice. Like, a lot of uber cheap Strats have these super dry, light colored necks. I think Fluffs described them as like disposable chopstick wood. You know what I'm talking about. This, again, smooth, well oiled. It actually feels like a decent piece of wood. And of course the components are amazing. Hipshot tuners and bridge, Fishman Fluent singles, and rechargeable battery pack. Wired up by Ken Susi of On Earth. Super dumb, super fun guitar. And 2 million views, that ain't bad. Pierre SSE Tremonti made it world in South Korea. Super solid single cut. Mark Tremonti is one of my favorite songwriters, and his signatures are so classy. He uses all these strange tunings, so I've got it tuned to DADADD as well, which is super fun to mess with. Schecter Banshee GT, I'll be honest, I haven't really played this yet. I did a couple pulls on the Floyd, the high E broke, everything went out of tune, and dude, Floyds are just such a pain. It looks cool though. Jericho 6 Edge NT neck through walnut wings, really unique instrument. The 17-inch fingerboard radius is just like really flat for me, so it doesn't get much playing time. I think this is one of the best looking guitars I've ever covered or owned though. And last but definitely not least, have you guys seen this Solar single cut from the one and only Mr. Ola England? This guitar is so sick. The playability is kind of unreal. The cutaway is just so comfortable. Love the transparent red stain on the ash. Even though pointy reverse headstocks aren't usually my thing, it just works with this. Like, it's so unapologetically metal. Really, really good guitar, and it's about to get another set of pickups to make it even better. And I think that'll do it for guitars. Oh yeah, pedalboard. I'm not really a pedal guy, so it's not super crazy. Noise gate, tuner, Digitech drop, Horizon Devices precision drive with a built-in noise gate. That's all in front of the amp. Over here off the pedalboard and by my desk is a Mission Engineering Rewah Pro, which is the best wah pedal I've ever tried. It's got all these internal switches to really shape your preferred wah sound. Carbon fiber enclosure too, super dope. In the loop, another noise gate. I couldn't afford the G string, so I bought the first decimator, and then the other one a couple of years later when I had the money for it. Boss DM2W, amazing warm analog delay, and then an 80s made in Japan CE2 chorus, basically the Metallica clean tone in a box. Classic high gain players pedalboard. Half of it is noise gates, basically. So yeah, that's my gear collection in 2020. It's probably gonna look a lot different next year since this is just way too much stuff for this little apartment. But it's always fun to document how things change over time. And I realize how lucky and privileged I am to have all of you guys to do this job. This is way more gear than I ever thought that I'd ever accumulate. It's been a process over the years, but now it's time to say goodbye to a lot of it. I'll have my Reverb page linked below. Keep an eye out for some listings. Hope that was interesting or enjoyable or both. As always, thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.